This is the Ars Electronica Festival, and this year's theme is human nature. And so what the future of humans' relationship with nature is going to be like, and there are a lot of projects that are speculating on that theme. And here at the Drink Pee station, we're doing labs, and every day at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, we're taking about 12 people, and we're turning their urine into fertilizer that they can use on their houseplants. So people come up and we give them a jar, and then they take the jar to the bathroom and they pee in it. And then when they come back, we have them smell it and try and find a word that very well describes the way it smells, because if you smell just beyond the pee, there's actually other odors that kind of tell you something about what you ate before. Then we also have them test the pH of their urine. And then we do we add the first chemical, which is something called urease, and that basically makes it possible for the magnesium chloride in the second part of the reaction to bond with the nitrogen in their urine. And at the end, after we filter through this liquid, what we're left with is kind of like a powder or a paste that you can dissolve in water and use to fertilize the plants in your house. We are definitely very interested in that, but actually the more important part of it at this point is just to have people have the experience of participating with their own urine. Right now, it's a little bit too expensive for people to do this all the time with their own urine, because we have to buy the chemicals from scientific grade chemical companies, where we're paying for a level of precision beyond what is actually necessary. But so it's more giving people the ability to deal with the concept of creating a biological circle within their own household, instead of sending this urine out into the waterways or sending it to the sewage treatment plant and expecting someone else to take care of the problem for us, which is a little bit of a problem now because we're waiting for experts to solve the problem for everyone. But doing that often means creating a lot of additional infrastructure. So for example, if we were to do this at the sewage treatment plant, it would require that we put in a new toilet and new pipes going from every house to a new sewage treatment plant. So in order to solve one environmental problem, you cause a lot of other problems. I would say that it's much more about kind of awareness and about the concept, because this is actually an art project. It's not, we're not necessarily trying to say that this is the thing that people should do all the time. We're not like sewage treatment scientists, for example. But the concept, the methodology that I use in my artwork with my partner Rebecca is something that we call R&DIY, so research and develop it yourself. And the concept there is just that individual citizens actually have a lot of very valuable knowledge about what works for them or what doesn't work for them. And so actually giving people the ability to say, oh, this is something I could do myself, and then I can think about how to make a new toilet, for example, in my summer house that will do this. So it's not that we are finally creating a product that we're trying to hand off to someone else, but instead we're trying to get ordinary people involved in the process of innovation. When we have people do the workshops, we have them, like I said, we have them smell their urine and test the pH, and then there are usually about 12 people doing this at the same time. And so you see the difference in the different colors of pee that people have, and some people have drank more water, and other people have had less to drink, and some people it's very acidic, and other people it's very basic. And so there's always these conversations just naturally that come up within the course of the workshop about what people ate and what they are then sending. If they weren't doing the workshop, they would be peeing out in the toilet, and what they would be sending out into the waterways. So for example, we had one guy who it was his first pee of the day, and the first pee of the day usually has a lot of nutrients in it. It's very very like strong. And so when we did the reaction, he produced so much fertilizer that it wouldn't go through the filter. And everyone was like, oh my God, you're, you know, but probably if it was their first pee of the day, it would have been the same way. So. There are people of certain religions and certain practices who actually drink their first urine of the day. And that's not necessarily what we're doing here. The drink, pee is like you drink and then you pee and then you drink and then you pee. But it is part of the same water cycle. And so that's why we're finding in our drinking water lots of pharmaceuticals like hormones or hair growth or blood thinners for the heart, and those are showing up in the drinking water supplies all over the world. So the project that I'm working on now in New York is it's called Window Farms. And so the problem there is the fact that, for example, in the United States, 1/3 of our nation's carbon footprint comes from the whole process that brings us our food. And so we are building these kind of sculptures in windows that are a vertical garden, but it's hydroponics, and you can grow about 25 vegetable plants in a normal New York City apartment window. And so this was also something that we've just tried to make out of things that you could buy from your local hardware store. And so you don't have to buy anything that's very expensive or specialized equipment, but you can still actually grow food, enough food for about like one salad per week inside a tiny New York apartment building. Here we have the do-it-yourself urine to fertilizer kit. And inside of there, we have, in the small jar, we have urease, which is an enzyme made from jack beans. Then we have magnesium chloride, which is, magnesium is often derived from ocean salts. And so you put in the urease first, and then you refrigerate your pee for about an hour, and then you're ready to add the magnesium chloride. And there are pH strips, which allow you to assess the pH of your urine at every stage of the reaction, and that helps indicate whether or not the reaction has been effective or whether or not you need to wait longer, for example. And we have people pee into a goldfish bowl so that they remember that the whole point of this is to keep it out of the oceans and stop killing fish, basically, with our pee. And so at the very end, this is one of the fertilizers that we did here at the workshop at Ars Electronica. And so you can see this is very potent stuff. Even though it's a small amount, you can dilute this in a lot of water and water a lot of plants. It's a very common fertilizer called struvite. And in the end, you can use it to water quite a few plants. Definitely an artist and definitely not a scientist, because basically the point here of our work is that ordinary people, if we actually use resources within our own social networks, we don't necessarily have to rely on the scientists and the large organizations to take an institutional approach to solving the problems. But for example, during the course of researching this, we worked with about 6 different people who were like my sister-in-law's sister, who was a biochemistry student, and she asked her professor about specific things. And altogether, her, along with members of Rebecca's family who are farmers and know a lot about fertilizers, together we all were sharing information, and that we used that to develop like a home lab manual for doing the testing. And then we tested this on batches of our own pee in my apartment and had like lots of pee in my refrigerator. It was really crazy, but over time we were able to just continue asking questions, not of a large institution or university, but of just experts who were distributed throughout our social network.